Kunst and all.
Hey, welcome to Kunst and All. We are Lorenzo Alberti,
Nastasia Filippo,
And Francesco Ricci.
three dancers who are super passionate about giving you a peek behind the curtain of the art we create on stage.
In this podcast, we're diving deep into what really goes into putting on a show. It's not just about the dances you see on stage. We're talking about the whole crew, the orchestra, the costume designers, the health teams, the admin people, and everyone else who helps make a production happen.
Exactly. We want to share the stories of the folks you don't always see, but who make everything tick. It's all about the hard work, the teamwork, and the creativity that goes into bringing a performance to life. This is
Kunst and All.
Our guest today is Sandrine Cassini, a celebrated ballet professional from Nice, France, a graduate of the Paris Conservatoire and a 1993 Prix de Lausanne winner. Sandrine has danced as a principal artist with companies like Le Ballet de Monte Carlo, Zurich Ballet, Alberta Ballet, Ballet BC, and Beja Ballet de Lausanne. Her passion for teaching has led her to institutions worldwide, including the San Francisco Ballet School in 2019. In August 2024, she became ballet mistress at Sempre Opera Ballet. She has also held positions with the Royal New Zealand Ballet, Ballet British Columbia, and has been a guest teacher for Scottish Ballet and Basel Ballet. We're thrilled to welcome her to share her remarkable journey and insights into dance.
Hi Sandrine, welcome. I'm super excited to have you here with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm super grateful of the invitation.
Hi Franci, hi Taz.
Hi.
We're back for a new
Hello,
episode.
Hello.
So, as Taz read your bio before, let's start with the easier question. So, for those who may not be so familiar with the ballet world, could you describe what's the difference between the role of the ballet mistress or rehearsal director, and what does the job entail on a daily basis?
Well, I prefer the title of rehearsal director because, first of all, there's no gender, and also I'm not only teaching ballet or rehearsing ballet pieces, so I like rehearsal director is a more broad term. For the people who don't know what that means, it's like basically being a sport coach and making sure the dancers are trained and their body is tuned. It's like a fine instrument, basically. So it's tuning the body every day, making sure we work on the technique, and then so teaching daily class and then preparing for rehearsal, either assisting a choreographer or a stager and make sure like the piece stay true to the choreography when these persons are away, and assisting also like when there's a show to write down corrections, to support the dancer. So basically it's in between a physical work and a psychological work as well, because you need to be close to the people, understand the psychology, helping them. It's a very demanding work to be a professional dancer, either for your body or for your mind. So it's basically like being a support.
I can imagine this takes a lot of time also outside of the working time to prepare.
It does, actually, it does. It's at the beginning when I started, I was like literally preparing every single class, writing down every single exercises. And then when I moved to San Francisco to follow one of my biggest mentors, his name is Alonso King, and he has been basically like enlightening my career ever since I'm 18 years old. I was watching his faculty teach, and he forces them to not prepare anything and to go on the spot to basically challenge the mind. And it's the way he choreographs as well. He shows steps and he shows a minute worth of choreography, and he won't show it twice. And basically you have to pick up as many steps as possible and make it your own. So this is a good way as well to train yourself to be on the spot, to be spontaneous, to keep your mind really triggered and to be in a moment.
It's fantastic.
That's incredible.
That sounds lovely, and I think a lot of things we're gonna go deeper into that soon.
Okay.
But before we go into that, could you share your journey and how you transitioned into the role of rehearsal director from being a dancer?
So I finished basically my professional career with Beja. I was dancing in Beja was dead already, but I was dancing with the Beja Ballet for a season. And to be perfectly honest, I think you heard on the press or something, there was so much abuse and so much bullying in the company. Never totally addressed to me, but like things I witnessed and things I saw, and I saw also how the dancers were destroyed by that I decided to step away from any institutions that basically would carry this kind of non-integrity. So we had the chance to have Alonso coming and choreographing a piece for us during my season there, and I followed him in San Francisco to dance and to create because he made me choreograph a lot. But his philosophy is also the more you take and the more you have to share. So you start teaching immediately when you work with him, which is also amazing because you give back everything you basically learn in your career. And after it was my 4th year in San Francisco, it was really, I still remember, it was a Sunday afternoon and it was raining and I was with my roommate and we were talking about New Zealand. And out of the blue, I really don't know why, but I started checking the Royal New Zealand Ballet and I saw they were looking for a rehearsal director at the time. And I said, okay, I'm going to send my staff and see basically what I need to gain as an experience to one day become a rehearsal director because I love coaching and I love being, like going deeper into a style, into details. And I sent my staff and they basically brought me back 2 weeks later. I had an interview with the director and I didn't know, I knew him, I danced with him before. His name was Ethan Stiefel. He left after this. So we had a long conversation with Ethan and he invited me for a week in New Zealand. And I was teaching and I was teaching him and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm teaching Ethan Stiefel right now. This is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I was one of my biggest idols. And then I was coaching the dancers the whole afternoon and I realized this is the best job ever, like really, because I can give, I can feel like I can share, and they were so lovely and so open, and so I really prayed to have the position and I got it. So this is basically how I transitioned. It was a very smooth transition, I must say.
It's lovely.
Did you have any challenges though along the way, especially like being a woman in the ballet industry?
Actually, right in New Zealand, Ethan left after 3 months I was there, and we were a couple of months without a director. And then the new director arrived, and it was a catastrophe. And we experienced a lot of bullying and violence in the studio, and I was the only ballet mistress there, so it was directed especially to me. So yeah, I experienced like bullying and harassing very, very intensively. I don't know how to say in English, but I had a few experiences like this, and I believe being a woman as well, you're more vulnerable because I won't say because it's a cliche, we're more emotional or we take things more emotional, because this is not true. I don't believe it's a difference between men and women, but I think a male director is more entitled to harass a woman who is helping him than he would harass a man, and this I saw.
And how did you find like your own power to like surpass that?
I had a lot of support from the dancers, and basically we were all witnessing the craziness that was going on in the studio. So 22 people left at the same time. It was all over the papers again, and I had like basically lawyers from Australia, from New Zealand reaching out, and it was a really traumatic experience. But I must say I was destroyed. Like from this experience, I was destroyed for a good year. So it took me, and it's sad to see like these people still get job after that, like if you're a dancer and you have a bad attitude, you kind of like red marked, but as a director it feels like you kind of erase your background and you can move somewhere else. So this is very questionable as the integrity of the dance world.
I guess it's part of the hierarchical structure.
Also, yeah, and there's a lot of politics and connection as well, who you're friends with and who's gonna, give a good word for you, which I think it's sad also. But yeah, so I had a few bad experiences like that, or maybe a couple, not too much. I worked with lovely, very inspiring people, but I must say the experience in New Zealand was the worst I ever experienced, even as a dancer.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so sad to hear, but
yeah. But we know it could be quite common in our industry also.
Very sad, very sad, and very sad to see as well how a theater decide to go blind instead of listening to his employees, and literally we lost half of the company at the time, but the theater preferred to made us leave basically and keep him to look better because they just hire him than saying like, no, we made the wrong choice and our fault, we're gonna find a new artistic director.
Right.
I found it very inspiring and beautiful though that you still keep going with this job because it means you really believe in the good of this job and this art form really because even though there is this structure that keep come and repeats because in Europe we had also kind of same examples
Yes.
and it's great that you can still have find the beauty in this job and keep going because some people would just be like okay you know what I hate the industry I don't agree with it bye and I found it very beautiful and inspiring that you can keep going.
Thank you. I must say, I I go on because I really love the contact I have with the dancers and what I can have in a studio with them, and it's more for them than actually being under a director or following like a vision. This has happened to me very rarely. I must say that I was in a place because I wanted to work with this person in particular. I was most attracted to the yes to the company considering the dancer side.
That's beautiful,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really
I
lovely.
mean, I've been taking classes with you, and it's really beautiful. The also the psychological attachment you have to the dancer. I remember multiple times it happened in Dresden that you were giving like this inspiring little last sentence at the end of class, and we would feel so seen and understood by you that people would start
Oh, thank
crying.
you so much.
It
Oh.
was like it was shocking, crazy, and beautiful at the same times because I would look around at the end of class and you would say that sentence that would like resemble with everyone and you have this power of making us feel even more together which is I find it great
Oh,
especially
yes.
as being a new company finding its own way together.
Thank you so much. That
Yeah.
means a lot.
You
Thank
know,
you.
it's amazing.
I want to follow that lead, and I want to ask you something about like your teaching experiences because you have experience teaching both at San Francisco School with younger students
Yeah.
and working with adult dancers in rehearsals. What do you see as the key differences between teaching children and adults? And what should ballet mistress, rehearsal director, however we prefer to call it, keep in mind when adapting their approach to those age groups?
Um, so I started my very first class when I started was in Vancouver actually when I was still dancing there, and I taught like adult beginners, so people who didn't know ballet at all, and it was the biggest trigger I must say, just to explain something that felt so natural, like being in a first or a fifth position. I didn't even think about it for 20 years, but then suddenly people were like, "What do you mean by that?" So thinking back of that, like it's basically explaining. You take for granted sometimes people know what you want to say, either as adults as children. So I think there's not too much of a difference concerning the age group. I must say, when you teach in a school, especially like San Francisco Ballet is a very prestigious school, so you kind of more rigorous of like following a certain choreography because you build a class according to like what the students must improve, and so you're more demanding in a fact of basically wanting to see what you're teaching. When you're teaching professional, you still want to see what you're teaching, but more a concept of it, and then you trust the professional dancers to adapt it to their day, to their body, to how they feel this very moment. So it's a little bit different. So I must say maybe more rigorous when I teach children, and also more careful about, and this is not true as well because you have to be careful with the psychology of like adults also, but like children are very vulnerable. And I also come from a school where you start hearing when you're 10 years old that you have to be on diet, and that if you get your period your body is going to change completely, so you start going into this crazy trip of like, okay, I'm going to be an elephant and never basically have a job. So teachers have the power to basically destroy a mental health of a child, but a mental health of an adult as well. So I think it's at the end of the day, it's not so much of a difference.
Nice. I love your answer because you didn't put it on a method, but you talked about psychology behind it
Mhm.
because it is that. It's about like taking care of the people who you are teaching, no, which is the most important thing. And you also mentioned something that I really liked, mentioning teaching to adults, because you said that in their case they supposed to know already like what they have to do, and also based on how is their day and how they feel and everything else, which in my experience sometimes I've experienced as a dancer that sometimes what I suffered is that we were treated as a kids
Mhm.
while we were adults, And while I knew exactly what I had to do, and yet I was treated as like that was my first day in the ballet studio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why it's a very nice message you're sending, like always to check in with the people you're working with. You know, it's like not. I appreciate if a rehearsal director comes in with lots of expectation and maybe a good plan and everything like this, but I always say that you should always allow some flexibility because you don't work by yourself, but you work with people.
I completely agree.
Therefore, you have to be able to adapt your needs and your plans to how the room is. And
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I mean, the key word for me is trust, first of all. And second of all, like, I don't believe in power at all. And I say this, we had
lovely.
a communication workshop at the beginning of the year, and I met all of you basically in this room, and we're all together trying to like share our names and like our experience in like 1 minute. But what I kept saying is like, I don't believe in the front of a room or the rest of the room. I don't want to be this kind of person, and I never believed in it. I believe like we all together doing something, and if I have a voice, it's because I trust you and I want you to trust me because I have something to say, not because I stand in a certain position. Because this is also an abuse, and sometimes it's very relevant to feel powerful because you're in front of the room. And yeah, another thing is like, you know, teaching ballet also, what's reflecting back through my career, ballet is so image based, and it's so like you have to fit in a certain standard, your body has to fit in a certain way, and you have to stand in this position only if your body can allow it. And this is also something I try to really change while teaching ballet and thinking like, why are we doing this? And so with Lorenzo, we are talking a little bit about Iceland. We can go back to this. But same thing, I was teaching the university over there, and it's a non-balletic atmosphere. It's a non-balletic country right now. It's like extremely contemporary, conceptual. And so I was teaching the last year students at the art university. And most of them came to me before and say like, we never did ballet before, we did, but we had a terrible experience. So we're really scared of this class. And this also triggered my mind to be like, how can I actually teach a technique that's basically not gonna frighten them or that's gonna, you know, like make them angry or something. And every exercise I was teaching, someone was asking me, why are we doing this? Why are we doing fondue? Why are we doing? And then you start realizing, yeah, actually, why do we do this? You know, why? Because there's like a class and you go from plié to tendu to like, but why are we doing that? What's the progression, the logical progression about it? So it's also how we teach ballet, but not too much because we follow a certain method and because we follow what has been done for 200 years, but because it makes sense, and it makes sense for our body to actually learn something every day.
No, lovely.
Actually, going into deeper into that, how did you find methods, like your own methods, to apply this kind of mentality in your ballet class?
By working with different people. So Alonso was one of them, for example, who really, it triggers your mind. The moment you start doing plié, I remember my first class with him, we spent literally 20 minutes doing pliés. And he would stop and be like, why are we doing this?
I see.
What are you like? Why do you expect to be more interesting when you're on stage performing a solo than when you do plié at the bar? Why are you doing that? And then it was in San Francisco, in the middle of like a very weird area where you have sadly, a lot of homeless people in the street. And he made us like watch by the window and say, you see the chance you have right now to be standing in a studio and be like, you know, so don't wait. What do you save things for? You know, like, why do you save your artistry for something later? Why do you do this? And it's also going back to, you know, like transitioning from dancing to non-dancing and being a teacher. Watching his faculty tech class, and the faculty was way older than me at the time, but like watching tech class, like they were 10 years old and they were like basically discovering every single day one thing. So this was a huge inspiration for me, for example, you know, to like really follow this. And also I'm crazy about the Gaga technique. I would love to get certified, but they don't certify people at this time. So I'm trying to teach a technique that's really greatly inspired from that, you know, based on improvisation. And what I love about Gaga, it's the only classes where I heard the name connect to pleasure, connect to joy, be silly, don't take yourself too seriously. And it's also hard to include this into ballet technique, where everything has to be so serious, and so you need to swallow your pain, you need to swallow your tears, and
Preach.
yes,
Preach.
and this is so irrelevant, I think, because we human beings with feelings,
Yes.
and so.
And it's also, I think, it compromises what you're doing if you approach ballet just on this sacrifice. I also hate the rhetoric of like we should just suffer and sacrifice everything we have, our time, our life, our bodies, everything in the name of the god of ballet. I hate this
Exactly.
because it sorry, I hate it
know.
because it really takes away everything you need to give in a positive way, all
Yes.
the joy, the love, the sharing good stuff, having fun with it. It's really, I discovered it too late, but not too late,
Yeah.
because when I start like approaching my job this way, it really changed.
Yeah.
No.
It does, and it's sad to see those experiences are still present, to nowadays, and we're still in 2025, and we still have this abuse in the studio, and we still have,
Totally.
those people who are coming and believe they're God, and believe like as soon as they speak, everybody has to be laying on the floor.
Oh yes.
But yes, it's how to change that, basically,
How
and
to change
move
that?
forward.
Well, I think with people with your mindset, like slowly, I think the more we can become, and entering into the studios and approaching to dancers in this way, slowly things are gonna start changing, because then hopefully people with this mindset will also be director, will also have higher positions. So you know what I mean.
I hope so. I mean, I
I'm
hope so.
hopeful.
I'm sad when I see, people my generation taking a direction and basically changing and being abused by power and feeling that they have to fit in a certain position and a certain, way of acting. But hopefully there's a change.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
it will be.
Going back to the dancer, how do you help dancers overcome difficult moments in their training, or how do you keep them inspired when there is a great amount of work and they're performing, but you still want to keep? Eventually, they might be mentally challenged and tired. How do you keep them inspired?
I feel by showing them I really care about them, which I really do, and that I trust them, and then I'm here to help them, and at the end of the day to also put things in perspective. And sometimes, like, especially when we work in a company and we work so intensively, it's almost like being in a snowball, where our own world revolve around our roles and our rehearsal right now, and like if we dance tonight, if we dance tomorrow night. So it's also to put things in perspective and to have a more human approach about it.
I'd like to ask, how do you maintain a healthy and balanced atmosphere in the company?
Also, trying to be as approachable as possible, and trying to be as helpful as possible. It can be hard because we're a very small team right now for a lot of people. So trying to multitask and trying to be on top of things, and trying to feel to make the dancers feel they have a voice and they're being listened to. So I feel like this is my journey to in this place.
And you said you're only two now, which is like a lot of pressure for like two people to take on like a really big company. So how does the teamwork kind of work? How important do you feel it is?
I mean, teamwork is super super important. It's when we're a small team right now because of many different reasons. It's we have more work to do, of course, and it's also to communicate with each other as much as possible, and to support each other as much as possible. But this I feel with my colleague, like really, like we have a really good understanding and a really good support of each other, and yeah,
it certainly feels like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you manage to keep the balance and well-being while managing all these demands that your job requires sometimes?
Also trying it's impossible not to take the work home. It's absolutely impossible. It's impossible to not wake up in the middle of the night and hear the music of the piece, or feel like, oh, I didn't give this correction, how I'm going to fix this. So as much as possible to let this happen, to not fight your mind against that, but to have also different interests and to have like to allow a few hours within the day where you basically don't think about dance and you think of something else. And I really oblige myself to do this.
That's good. Moving on, I'm curious about working in bigger companies when it needs to be taught a ballet class and stuff like this. Often there is a pianist, no?
Mm-hmm.
I am curious to know from you like how it is to work with a pianist for training sessions, for example, to the rehearsals. And how important do you think is this collaboration? No, that a rehearsal director or anyone is leading a rehearsal basically has to what is the best way to ensure that they are both aligned to work together during this time that they work.
Well, I must say here we're extremely lucky because we have three exceptional pianists who are so aware of everything that happened in rehearsals, and so I don't need to ask for anything. Basically, in class, they understand immediately what you want. In rehearsal, they know exactly where we are in a piece, and they know exactly which section we're going to rehearse. So here it's a big luxury. When I was in smaller companies, like for example Ballet BC, we have a guest pianist every day if we do ballet class. So sometimes we have very inexperienced pianists, and you need to be before class and telling them like, okay, for this kind of exercise, I want a 2 or I want a 3. So you kind of like explain to them which kind of music they should play. For rehearsal, most of my time I was doing myself the music, so you need also to know the time code, and so here I must say it's a luxury.
Yeah.
And we forgot. It's also something we take for granted, because
Exactly.
we forget like we have live music with incredible pianists every single day, and sometimes I just want to stop and clap because we have a concert, like we have a jazz concert, or so.
Exactly.
So we're super lucky here. Yeah.
As a rehearsal director working in renowned European companies and someone who teaches both ballet class and like contemporary techniques, how important do you think is to integrate the diverse training methods into the culture of a ballet company?
Oh, I think it's essential right now. I think it's so important for the dancer to understand the versatility of his body and also to discover many different styles and to think one technique will help another as well. So there are there are things in ballet that basically enhance certain psychology, philosophy, and also physicality, and things in contemporary that also do that. So it's so complementary to be aware of both. Yeah.
And how does this blending of styles how can it influence the dancer's artistry, versatility, and their overall performance?
I think it's like if you have an instrument and you're only playing a sonata from Mozart, and then you start playing Steve Reich or you start playing a tune from Radiohead, you realize like you can do so much more basically than just like what you've been rehearsing for a year, for a month, whatever. So the more you try and the more your body try and the more intelligent it becomes.
How do you feel about the increasing of diversity and inclusion within the ballet world?
I think it's still very poor, to be honest. Like, every day.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, every day I'm watching. I mean, I'm watching my, the company where I work in right now, and it's, I must say, it's still very, very, very white, and it's still not very diverse. So there is a talk, there is a dialogue, and it needs to be implemented definitely. But it's still at the beginning phase, I must say.
Do you feel that, I mean, for sure it has to happen internally. Do you think a training of, the concept of like training could help? Like the way that we approach class and...
I think so, yes. I think so. And also, it comes from schools, basically. It comes from like the moment you start dancing. And, I always, my skin is not white, and I always heard when I was in school, like, don't go to the sun and try to hide from the sun. I was in Zurich, and the director would come to the lake and chase us away from the sun when I was there. So so there is this reality, and And we had this long conversation in San Francisco school, where the director at the time was Helgi Thomasson, and he was asking the director of the school at the time, who was Patrick Armand, to hire people with more diverse background or something. And Patrick will always answer, well, let's make the school affordable to them then, and so it's a very long process, I must say, but it's good. We at this stage right now when we realize there's a problem, and there has been for many, many, many years. So we need to act upon it.
And we're starting to talk about it now. I feel like before we put it under the carpet,
Exactly.
and it's a sensitive topic.
Exactly.
Which still happens, I would say. But yeah, it's more open, let's say.
Yes.
We can at least talk about it.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, based on basically these last thoughts, like what are your hopes for the future of the ballet or the dance world in general, as an art form, but also as a profession?
As an art form, I mean, ballet as a technique I think, is the most. It's one of the most beautiful science. Like how you can basically understand your body through the technique of ballet. How to make it go forward is. I have this dilemma in me, like thinking, okay, if you look at ballet pieces, it's basically dying woman becoming crazy and being saved by a man. So we're also in a society where we fight against that a little bit, and we have a different approach of heroines right now in the world. So how does ballet reflect on that, and how do we go forward with this? It's also a long dialogue, I must say.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like for me also, I've never seen, being a gay man myself, I've never seen a classical full length with a leading couple being either lesbian or gay. Like it's so, like we just talk about fairies and stuff, this prince that saved the princess. I don't feel seen, and I don't feel like, I believe that as a dancer I should be true to myself through a role, but be myself. And whenever I do ballet, I'm always acting, which I understand because my job is also acting, but I'm always trying to portray something that is not within me.
Yeah.
I'm completely trying to be someone else. I cannot put anything of myself.
Yeah.
So I wish with like this innovation and stuff, if the ballet world could go towards that direction too. I know that Christopher William has just premiered, I mean, not just a few months ago, Oscar Wilde in Australian ballet, and that was the first full length when there is a gay main role. But I've seen through podcasts and through other interviews how many gay ballet dancers feel like, oh, yet again another straight role that I need to play. It's just so that's why I feel much better even dancing modern contemporary work, because I really feel I'm talking about something I understand.
Yes.
And yeah, I wish the ballet work could go also towards that direction.
Yes.
Because I think change could start also from there.
Yes.
By educating also the audience to other stuff. Because some people, they just prefer ballet. So there's a kind of audience that actually doesn't want to be educated. It's kind of conservative. They take theater as entertaining, and they go there to see the Sleeping Beauty, the things that they already know what they're gonna see and watch, the music they're gonna listen to. And I wish the ballet world could also like increase towards that, so the people that have a more conservative approach to this art form, that they prefer just ballet, would also understand there is so much more.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like a few years ago, I was dating a quite famous German regisseur, actually, who was based in Berlin, and so I got into regie and really watching operas and plays, and seeing like how you could take an opera from Wagner and keeping the music but making it completely relevant, and having Rammstein coming on stage and having explosion and fire, and it was still true to the partiture, and it was still, like if we would do something from Goethe, it was still with the words of Goethe, but it was the words from Goethe in 2019. So
yes.
Why does ballet don't take the same road, and why don't we challenge also, and why do we always have to follow like what's been done and restage basically what's been done 100 years ago?
Also, like, what about creativity? For me, it really comes down to creativity, and not creativity just like making steps and make it fit into the music, but like finding stories, reading, for example, books that inspire you to make a ballet, like
Completely.
something like this, because we really on ballet we rely on like very old librettos from the 17 1800s.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
great.
Yes.
And yeah, of course, there are now many choreographers and many ways that they take these librettos and they make it more actual. Fine. What about all the books that we have written since that time until now? There are so many stories, even fairy tales. Like, if you want to keep the fairies on, let's keep the fairies on.
Completely.
Like, I'm totally fine with like enter into a fantastic world if you just want to chill and enjoy, but can we try to make it actual with some stories that we never have seen on stage? For me, this will be already a plus.
I agree.
I think there's like a comfort that
It is.
people want to see what they expect.
What they know as well,
Yeah,
maybe.
what they know.
Yes.
And anything, it takes a lot of time and, people to believe in that, to make a change and a breakthrough. Yeah.
True, but isn't it like the purpose of art also the one of challenging
totally.
the intellect of people?
Exactly.
Because if we start to be stagnant and we're artists,
Then we
something
become a
is not
museum.
right.
Yes. Yes.
But
this is my
it
fear with
is a
ballet a little
challenge.
bit. Yes. Yes.
It is
that
a
is
challenge
the point.
But
because
even
a
the
lot,
museums,
yeah,
they have a new exhibition every
Yeah.
now and then.
Mhm.
They have
Yes.
they have the one that are always there, so and you can always find them. But then every few months, they still have a new exhibition, and they come in and out, and that's what is challenging. I think that's what it needs.
but I think also that's what's exciting. Like that's
Yeah.
what brings us the challenge as artists.
Yes.
Exactly.
To
Yes.
make that more available for everyone.
No, it makes me think also of something that when you grow up with ballet and you start dancing ballet, I remember my first job was with the Paris Opera, and basically it's like entering an army when you go to the Paris Opera. The first 3 months they close the curtain, and the ballet master at the time will come on stage and call the newest members of the company, and literally for 10 minutes will lecture us in front of the entire company and tell us like we should be ashamed to be sharing the stage with the principal dancers and we are ruining the show. And this lasts for literally 3 months, I'm not kidding. So you go in tears into the dressing rooms and the older people are telling you, well, we all went through this. So it's really like, a rite of passage to be in this company. Until one day I went to him and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like literally, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do more. And he was like, I'm not asking you to think. I'm just asking you to be in line.
Oh my God, I hate that.
But this is what ballet is as well, like the
Oh
thing
my
is
God.
like when you have 32 girls and you want them to look like one and you want them to like have the exact same expression in the exact same position. So how can we how can we still give unity but with having people thoughts and with having people like also challenge things and not just being a number. And this is where I also feel like ballet is very archaic in this kind of concept.
I agree. And for me, sometimes even through teaching ballet, in class, I felt this way. I felt like I was treated more as a militaire than as a ballet dancer.
Yeah.
And I suffer this, honestly. I suffer when it's just about the numbers and the steps and the music and things like that and everything else. Like my own persona is like left out.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I understand.
So
It's such I think it's like a spiral, like a tornado, I want to say, because like you wanna like as dancers or like people that work in this field, we crave for a change, but we're the first one being scared of speaking up, making the change. Because even eventually directors, people in front of the room, people in power, in brackets, let's say, they need to sell those tickets because the people above them, then they might be like, okay, you were not successful because so it's like the manager, them spend like having the right money, having the sponsor, like educating the audience, but yet having the ticket being sold. Otherwise, it's such a super huge spiral.
Yeah.
It's risk taking.
Yeah.
It's risk taking, but also like if you think objectively, if you would be a director, wouldn't you be scared to be like, oh, but we didn't sell the ticket? So you have to go back to that typical Swan Lake.
No, totally. Yeah, that's saying like I'm not blaming who's doing that because also I've never been in that position. So I humble myself, of course, because maybe if I end up in that position, I'm under the same stress and probably end up doing the same decisions that some directors do. Yeah, but for me, I don't know. In that case, I would rather know that that person tried to take the risk and it went wrong, and then had to fix it in some other ways, or for the next time he tried to fix it, than just not try at all because of the fear of losing something. You know,
Right.
I think this is more philosophical in general.
Yeah.
But for me, if I would be a director, I think I would push to take a risk myself. I would take a risk and I would try my best also to work with maybe the marketing, the educational program with everyone to try to see how this, even if we know could be weak, but how can work, we can make it work. So I will try to do everything in my power to try to make it work. If it doesn't, then it will be a lesson that I've learned, and then I will try to make best for the next time.
Yeah, also because like having changed many companies and working with very different people, I always felt so distant and already that I wanted to leave the studio as soon as possible when people would come in and be like, we see things differently, we do things differently with words. I'm like, be the change. Don't tell me that you are the change. Then I'll trust you and I'll follow you.
Yeah.
But now we're all like, okay, we need to change, and we say with words, but then yet again we go through the same path. And every time a choreographer would be like, no, but we have a different method. We changed the ballet world. I see things differently. It was the most flat and boring process I've ever witnessed. And I was like, you actually just like the other. It's so it's like a spiral. Like it's
It is.
I think we should so we have 5 last questions that we always ask every guest.
Okay.
And
even though some of them we already asked.
Yeah, you kind of
Well, I mean,
Maybe you have a different answer now.
Yeah, it could be. So the first one is, what is the best a piece of advice that you've ever received about art or creativity?
To believe in myself, and I mean it's a very random thing to say, but it's actually a very hard thing to do, and it takes, I mean, still a journey basically. I don't say like I wake up in the morning and I believe in myself, but believe in what makes sense basically. So yeah, I must say this is what I keep in my mind.
Do you ever have this? I'm going out of topic a bit. It's not a question. Did you ever have a role model in one of those companies that you had that you were like, okay, I believe in this person, her dancing, and had almost like a mentor?
I changed, like when I was a kid, I grew up and I was posters of Sylvie Guillem everywhere, and I was, watching her every step. I wanted to be her when I grew up, and then I had different teachers. I met Truman Finney. He was one of the last assistant of Balanchine when I was in Monaco, and him also was a really big mentor for me. I had the chance to be coached with. We were doing a lot of Balanchine reps, so I had the chance to be coached by him. So he was also somebody I would look to. Dan Alonso was definitely one of the biggest one, because he put so much humanity and also so much he made us dream, like every time he was giving a speech or something, there was something so emotional and so out of this world that basically it opened your mind to different things, like really philosophically. And then Forsyth as well is one of my biggest idols. His work, his way of working is so when I had the chance to work with some of his dancers and be close to them, also like just watching them think and watching them approach every single step they were doing was a huge inspiration.
He's incredible. I was super lucky because I freelanced a bit in my career. When I was freelancing, I remember I was in Zurich taking class with the company, just being there, and they were premiering that exact week his full evening. It was three pieces. It was second detail, approximate sonata, and one flat thing reproduced. And I remember he fixed a bit approximate sonata. After the general, he was not, I wouldn't say not happy, but wanted to make it even better and change it. And he was there like full out in the studio playing with them. And I was like, and I was coming from a East European company where it was very like conservative.
Yeah.
So seeing that, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he I never worked with him yet, but it's for sure one of my dreams.
Yeah, it's like a genius, really. Genius
Yes,
of
I agree.
yeah, genius of our time.
No,
Yeah.
totally.
I mean, you've worked with him, Francine.
I did,
Yeah.
I did a few times, I would say, yeah. And same, I love his approach, and he will come. I don't know. Sometimes I remember one time we already have danced like Enemy in the Figure a few times, and a certain year he decided to come back when we were restaging it, and he wanted to change things because he said that he also I love this the fact of his flexibility, and he's like always trying to adapt it to how he felt and how he thought he had to be, so it was never static. It's always dynamic.
Yeah.
And at some point, I was doing the Alan solo, which is
Yeah.
one of the first solos, and he came to me and he was excited about this. Uh, what was it? In a hip hop school or something like this that he was watching. So he started showing me videos, and he wanted me to approach the solo and all the duet I was doing with my partner has like an hip hop kind of way. And he was like, just forget everything about it. Just like, and he wanted me basically to dance as a hip hop dancer while I was doing Enemy, and it was kind of incredible. And then at the same time, he was teaching me like Feldenkrais while we were doing it. It's a 360-degree
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's really incredible. I
Yeah.
love working with him. It's yeah.
No, and as you say, it's also someone who challenges you, like thinking of architecture, thinking of literature,
Oh
and thinking of
yes.
music, and so
Yes,
so it's not just about fitting into something. But it's so much more than that, which dance is basically.
Exactly. Probably that's it. And I never thought I knew that there was something for me like Billy, like foresight is like really like a big thing. My career was like a really big shift. Also, the reason why I came to Dresden is because of a foresight evening we have done in Milan, and then through that I got connection with our ex ballet mistress Laura Graham, and thanks to her and to Noah Gelber, and then my ex director Aaron Watkin, but I had this connection, so then I could join this company, and I think that was it. It was the fact that it wasn't just about what you were doing. It's like everything you managed to put inside while you were doing it. That it really always sparked something in me that I was like, that's what I'm interested to. It's like, yeah, thank you. I never really thought about that. What that probably is the reason why. Because I'm also like this now. The way I approach things is like this. I never care about. No, it's not. I never care, but let's say like I have more interest when I have a multi approach, let's say, like more integrated, let's say, from many different things. I'm very curious, then I'm already in.
Yeah.
So,
The following question is the Sandrine of today. So, with all your experiences, knowledge, and people you work with, if you could collaborate with any artist, living or deceased, who would it be and why?
Oh, many, many. I love music. I'm a big music fan. I'm a frustrated non-musician basically. I think if I was not a dancer, I would have loved to be a musician. And one of my biggest idol is Tom York from Radiohead, and as I saw how much he's going into dance for the last decade basically. So he started with Wayne McGregor, who choreographed two of his videos, and then the latest collaboration was this movie on Netflix called Anima that he did with Gothenburg and that he did with Damien Jallet. So it would be him, I think, to like do something with him. That would be my dream come true, I must say.
Nice. That's a good dream.
I think we would like to be musicians in some way.
Oh yeah, me the same. I wish.
Yeah.
So the next question. The dance world is a unique, self-contained art form, often thriving in its own bubble. But to stay relevant, it must adapt and connect with the broader cultural shifts. So in your opinion, what should we invest in, whether that's technology, education, collaboration, to ensure that dance remains a living, evolving art form for future generations?
I think all of that, like many collaborations and technology. It's also, like a dream to dance with artificial intelligence, or, I'm not sure how much I believe in this, to be perfectly honest, because I'm not sure how much we should forget what's actually the main thing of dance, like body and sweat and reality, like throughout our vein and blood, you know. So, um, but I must say, as collaborative as it can be, and also educational as it can be, and I would say also to take dance, especially ballet, in the streets, outside, in different environments, not going to a theater, but going to places where people are not expected to see dance. And so that would be, there was this festival in Vancouver. It started in Toronto. It's called Dances for a Small Stage, and the aim was to make a 3 to 5 minute solo in a bar. So the stage would be maybe like 2 square meters. You didn't have any space to move or something. And this is my first encounter with Crystal Bite actually. So I did a little choreography, and she came with a green unitard, and she had a fishbowl on her head, and she was like singing a song in like an alien voice.
That's fun.
But you know, it's like taking dance, whatever that means, outside for people to see it, and for people to not still ask, do I need to get a suit if I go to the theater? How much is a ticket? But to make it more affordable as well.
Yes, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was for me a big thing when I moved to outside of Italy, because I felt in Italy was all about what am I gonna wear.
Yeah.
And when I came here, I saw people in Hamburg with jeans and
Yeah.
a t-shirt. I'm like, oh my God, that's actually
Yeah.
like I never even knew about it because in Italy, it's such a thing. I need to wear a long dress or a suit.
Yes.
So when I saw it, I was really like starstruck. I was like, oh,
Yes.
it's a thing.
Yes. Yeah, I think this is the ambiguity of like, you know, still feeling like it's a big event out, and you want to be respectful of what you're going to see, but it comes with so much also. You need to have a lot of money to go to the theater, and you need to
Exactly.
have a nice suit, and you need to have a nice dress. So maybe young people feel threatened about that, and why not going into a show with your Converse and your jeans, you know, and still appreciating as much as possible. So
Exactly.
yeah.
It becomes pretty much an elite kind
Yes,
of thing
exactly.
to do. I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What is your approach with social media? I'm very curious about this.
Very bad. I'm a really analog person. I don't understand Instagram. Don't even ask me TikTok. I'm like barely on Facebook because I've used Messenger to call my friends overseas. But yeah, I'm not really.
But because now it's like everyone talks about how we see dancers on social media, it's very triggering how like you post yourself on social media and then eventually so as a dancer for example I'm an example of myself. I follow some dancers and they look incredible because also me when I post my things I post the show where I felt the best or where I could hold a period longer and stuff. And then it happened that I was in the same room of these people that I idolize on Instagram so much, and I realized they're just like human being really, and they also fell from period and have bad days. So when I was like graduating from school, I didn't even think I deserved to have a job or to be a professional because I saw these professional people on Instagram like, no, I still fell from my periods.
I mean,
Then
it's a big danger, I think, social media for the younger generations, because yeah, you can associate with this perfect image, as you say, you know, you see like the 5 seconds that are perfect, but there are months of imperfection, and good there are months of imperfection as well, because that makes an artist also. So it's like when you see perfect faces, and when you see like, but everything is corrected and everything is to a way fake. So that's why I really take it with a grain of salt, and I think it's very dangerous for young people to think this is the way to be and this is the way to dance because I see someone doing 15 pirouettes on a, you know, yeah.
That's a sad reality. It's really hard not to compare yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
No.
Yeah.
but yeah, but it's also so sad that when you're like, oh, you're a dancer, yeah. So what's your social media? What's your Instagram so I can check?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, sure, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's defining us so much, and then we are that. And when eventually we are in a room and we don't not identify, but we're not on our leg as we are in that video and stuff. People, I feel, are kind of unsatisfied. I'm like, no, but like,
Yeah.
so it's a big
I mean, that's why we have to keep theater alive.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
live theater.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So, what is success to you?
to be happy, basically. I mean, my concept of success have changed throughout the years also, as I started and I wanted to be a solist immediately and to be, so I was really lucky to be promoted very young and to get to dance many roles very fast and to dance in, like, you know, bigger stages with prestigious companies. But after a while you realize what's next, you know, what it does, that make me really happy. And it makes you, the thing is, it never made me happy for the fact of like being a first solist somewhere and doing those things. It made me happy for the journey I took, and it made me happy if like people were supportive of me. That means like they believed in me being in front more than people being envious or being, you know. So I always value this much more than actually the success I had or whatever. And then I'm I suffered from being in big institutions also, because your mind has to be set in a certain way. And as we said before, you know, there's certain abuse, there's certain politics. And I was rebellious. Even being in Paris Opera at 16, I was already rebellious and I was already standing against things. So when my voice became too loud, so I decided I step away from that and I do my own thing, you know, and I find the people really make sense. So for me, that's what success is right now. It's really to make sense and to find happiness. And it can be like in this room with you right now. It can be, you know, like in a, as we talked about Iceland, when I'm in Iceland and people from the dance world are asking me, what are you doing in Iceland? I'm like, well, I'm happy there, you know, and I'm actually being triggered in different ways, because you move to this country and people don't care where you're coming from dance wise, you know, what you did before. You can say like, oh, I work with this person and I know Crystal Pie. They don't care at all. It doesn't make sense for them. And what makes sense is like, what do we have in common? What can you give me? What can I give you? And this is success more than, you know, a name on the paper or a name of an institution, I would say.
That's so beautifully said. No, honestly.
I am so fascinated by this relationship you have with Iceland. Did it happen just like you were speaking about New Zealand? You were talking about it and then it happened, or you were really committed to be like, I want to go there and then see how
You know,
can.
it happened. So it's right after New Zealand. I went back to San Francisco when I was in a really bad state, and I realized it's not good to go back also to the place I just left, and I wanted to have a big change. So I went to Europe and I worked with Jacopo Godani in Frankfurt for a couple of months. Was not the healthiest place either, I must say, very honestly. So I came to this point where I was in Dresden actually, because it was a collaboration with the two cities. It started like a few years before this with Forsyth. And I was just like, I'm sick of the dance world. So I need to go to a place where I don't know anyone and I can't relate to anything and I just want listen to music. So I knew a lot of Icelandic music and I had seen all these, you know, postcards about Iceland, and I bought a one-way ticket to go there. But my intention was not to dance at all or to be looking for dancers. I just wanted to stare at the ocean, at a volcano, and go to listen to Sigaros playing somewhere. So that's why that's why I moved there.
That's incredible. Is this where you find really Sandrine as an artist too? Also,
I mean, I found like it definitely, it's a place that that makes your emotion come out 400% more than any other places, because the nature is so strong. And I went there at the beginning of the winter and I didn't know what it meant. People had told me it's going to be very dark and stuff, but I didn't know what it's going to be to have basically 2 hours of daylight a day and to live in total darkness the whole time. So you feel like you're in a cocoon and you feel you're alone in the world most of the time when you walk at night and there's not one person in the streets. It's it's a very fascinating place. So it definitely developed things in me, like a strength in me that I didn't feel before. Yeah.
And would you go back to it anytime soon?
Yes, I'm going back in a month actually to choreograph for the Art University. I'm super grateful to be choreographing their graduating piece. So yeah.
So you also choreograph?
I do, yes. I
We
started.
didn't mention that at all.
I started when I was dancing and there were young choreographers evening. It's something that always interests me. Even as a kid, I was creating little things and stuff. And I really enjoyed it. And when I moved to San Francisco, Alonso really pushed me to choreograph. So I was choreographing on a daily basis, and I was also resident choreographer for 2 smaller companies in San Francisco. It's something I put aside when I'm, rehearsal director, because the days are so filled. But it's also a way for me like to stay after hours and to just be in a studio and create movements or look for things, look for ideas that also help me unwind from the day. So
That's
to
so cool.
recenter, yeah.
Jumping a bit back, I want to ask the typical question. Actually, not so typical, but for young dancers, even dancers in their career, because you moved different companies, if you feel you're not being seen or understood, would you suggest to wait and give it a bit of time, or the minute even your gut feeling is telling you actually might not be the place to just go?
I mean, coming from my experience, this is how I am. I don't have so much patience, and I felt when a place was not the good fit, I won't stay and wait, because my mind also get very obsessive into things of like, this is not right, and then this voice is so strong that I have to go somewhere else and try somewhere else. The grass is not always greener, but at least I always felt like, why should I stay and complain? I'd rather like go somewhere else and try something new. And maybe it's not the right fit, but at least I try something new. And then if it's not the right fit, it's not the end of the world. I go somewhere else. So it's not the best for feeling rooted, basically, but it's also, I felt I was suffering more if I was staying in a place where I was unhappy than if I was trying to fix it.
Can I say these last words? Can we, as beautiful approach for life? I mean, in my opinion,
Yeah.
that's how I'm approaching.
For me,
a little bit my life right now. So thank you. That's lovely.
it's so crazy at the end of this interview, even more how we are people, and you see that in the studio too, because the way you inspire and coach us and makes us feel is because you're true gem as a person.
Thank you so much.
And it's so crazy that, again, because we mentioned in another episode how once you work and you go on stage, like it's a mirror, like you cannot fake it. And working with you, yeah, you makes us feel this way because of the person you are. You're not trying to be anyone else, and it's just incredible.
Thank you so much.
We are so lucky, really.
No, I'm lucky to be with you.
Thank you so much, really.
Thank you.
Thank
My
you so
pleasure. My pleasure. Thank
It
you.
was such
really.
a nice, inspiring conversation.
Oh my God, yeah.
Thank
Like,
you.
I want to have more.
yeah, very, very inspiring.
Thank you
Especially
so
because
much.
I don't know you very much. So today was a great introduction.
I mean, I told you were gonna love
Yeah, they
her.
were telling me, and
I was like, Francie, she's your person.
I confirm it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening, and make sure you check all our other episodes. And yeah, see you soon, and stay.
Kunst.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Kunst. And all.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any artful updates. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Kunst and all for more content. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to reach out and share your feedback. We are Lorenzo, Nastasia, and Francesco. Until next time, stay kunstig.
Amazing.